Yo, what's good, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you guys doing? See, we in here for another live today. Got a pretty interesting story that just broke a few hours ago that I want to cover today. So I'm gonna wait for you guys to come on in. This is gonna be a pretty interesting story. We're gonna be covering this, and then if any breaking news stories drop for the free agency, we're gonna be covering that tonight. So just stick around with us. But we're gonna cover this story. We're probably gonna be on for about, let's say, 50 minutes or so, just under an hour. And then if any breaking news happens with the NBA free agency, we're going to cover that. So, but I definitely got an interesting topic because this one broke like a bombshell, like a bombshell. Hey, appreciate that. Also, say what's good to Marco. Marco's also in here with us in the chat. So just say what's good to Marco. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let me get this article ready for you guys because I think it's going to be a pretty interesting topic because man, this one pretty much surprised me. And I see some people have been talking about it. We noticed some people shared this information on Dreamers Pro Max, where some people shared it not too long ago. Some of our members shared it on there. So I definitely want to get into this topic here, man. It's a pretty interesting one. And we're also going to be covering free agency as well. So free agency starts in just under an hour. So you guys want to stick around for this live. How you doing? Welcome in from Canada. Because Kawhi Leonard is smart. I like that. I like that. So we're going to give it 2 more minutes, allow everybody to come on and catch up to this live, and then we're going to get it going. Again, we are going to be covering this story. I'm going to be giving you the details of this story, and if any breaking news happens with free agency, we're going to be covering that after this live. So I want to talk about this story here because it's pretty interesting, and I didn't know this, and I think it's a pretty interesting article. Kawhi Leonard playing chess again. Absolutely, absolutely. So let's give it about another minute and a half. Let's allow everybody to catch up. We just sent out the notifications on Instagram. We just thanks, Marco. We just sent out all the notifications on Instagram, so people are coming in now. Make sure you hit the likes so people get notified because you guys are going to want to enjoy the story. You're going to enjoy the story. I got a lot of stuff I want to share about this. So let's just give it about another minute or so, and also check in and let me know where you're coming from. I see we got Jamaica in the house. I see we got Jamaica in the house. I see we got Canada in the house. Check in when you're coming in. Check in. Let us know where you're coming in from. What do you think about Kawhi to Miami? Don't worry, I'm going to get to that a little bit later. I just want to really focus on this topic right here. But I'm definitely going to get to that in a little bit. Greensboro, North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Hollywood, California, what's good? Welcome in. Midnight from Long Beach, what's good? Welcome in. How you doing? South Africa, wow. Welcome in. Appreciate that. Chicago was good. Cali was good. Florida, the Sunshine State was good. Cleveland was good. Welcome in. Beaumont, California, Boston, British Columbia. Welcome in. Let's give it another minute. Make sure you hit the likes. Let's allow everybody to come on in here. Baltimore was good. If y'all didn't know, I was born in Maryland, so Baltimore was good. Inglewood, California, Watts was good. Cape Coral. Sup from, is this, that flag looks like Monaco. I'm not sure. I hope that's the correct one. New Jersey was good. New Jersey, by the way, was good. Belize. Wow, that's nice. Let's give it about another 30 seconds and we'll get it started. Belize, welcome in. I see we got a pretty international crowd coming in. Deuce to Dawn was good. Toronto was good. Let's give it 1 more minute and we'll get it started. Just want to make sure we get as many people in this live. Texas was good. BX, Boogie Down Bronx was good. Welcome in. Okay, Kawhi doesn't want to trap himself to the Clippers. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that, but I definitely want to touch on this. Haiti, how you doing? We give it 20 more seconds and we get started. Kawhi to the Nets. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Probably in a sign and trade. Probably. Cairo, Egypt was good. It's possible through a sign and trade. If they sign and trade him, they can definitely get him. But I don't think the Clippers are going to do that. So let me just get my last notes. Okay. Excuse me. I just took some headache medicine with the fizz. Okay. So let me get into this live here. Okay. So make sure you guys hit the likes and then your questions will be coming in. And we're also going to cover some free agency if any breaking news stories come in. So anyway, let me get into this here. So I was sitting there on my phone, and I was scrolling through Instagram probably about over an hour ago. And I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I see a thumbnail of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Russell Westbrook in an article that was written by Ramona Shelburne by ESPN, which I'm going to link in a little bit. And she spoke about Kawhi Leonard avoiding to team up with Russell Westbrook. Now, to me, this is a big story. Now, although this happened 2 years ago, but it's now that it's coming out. Kind of similar to the Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor thing. Her comments were made in the Orlando bubble last season, but they were made public just a few weeks ago. So this story just came out, and I didn't know any of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit about this story, about what Ramona Shelburne had to say, and then I'm going to break it down about what I break down my thoughts about that. So basically, according to Ramona Shelburne, she goes, Russell Westbrook is many things as a basketball player. Is aggressive, explosive, and efficient. But most of all, he is decisive, a man of action. The saying goes, where there's no shot, he will create one. Where there's no path to the basket, he will find one through sheer force and chutzpah. So in the summer of 2019, I want you guys to listen to this, and I'm going to share the article. While the rest of the NBA world fretted over the reigning NBA Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard, where would he choose between Toronto and Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers? Westbrook was coming up with a plan to collaborate with him on a homecoming. Now, remember, Russell Westbrook is from California. This is very important. Russell Westbrook is from California, and Kawhi Leonard is from California. Okay, they said Westbrook had become a father of 3 the previous November, and this is why he tried to find his way to come home. So apparently, what Russell Westbrook's plan was, he saw himself teaming up with Kawhi Leonard he saw himself as teaming up with Kawhi Leonard would be the fastest way there. So he placed a call, according to multiple sources. But Leonard didn't just take the call as one native son of Los Angeles to another. He pondered it and didn't even get back to him. According to multiple sources, Kawhi Leonard then called Russell Westbrook's teammate in Oklahoma City, Paul George, and told him he would rather team up with him in a homecoming. Okay, let me just post the article right here. I'm just reading this on ESPN.com. So I'm going to post the article right there in the link, so you guys can definitely read that. I'm going to pin that to the top so you guys can read that. Okay. So this is the big news. Kawhi Leonard 2 seasons ago had the option of playing with Russell Westbrook because Russell Westbrook reached out to him. And apparently, Kawhi Leonard thought it was such a ridiculous or terrible idea for the two of them to team up that he didn't even bother giving Russell Westbrook a call back. Instead, he ended up calling Paul George and said, "Bro, let's go back to let's go back to LA, man. I think you're a better fit with me." Now, some people out there have been trying to spin this thing and turn Russell Westbrook into a victim in all of this. That's what they're trying to do. But in my opinion, I think Kawhi Leonard did the smartest thing he could have ever done. Kawhi Leonard knew that playing with Russell Westbrook would have been a terrible, terrible basketball decision. If Kawhi Leonard had decided to team up with Russell Westbrook, he would have guaranteed that he would have never, ever won a championship. Now, some of you guys are going to say, wait a minute, that's a little bit harsh. That's a little bit harsh. Let's just cover this. Let's just get into this. Russell Westbrook just signed with the Lakers. Okay. He just signed with the Lakers, and the media, at least some people in the media, are already crowning the Lakers as Western Conference champions to go to the NBA Finals, right? They've already done that. And I've been one of the few people, including Chris Broussard and some others, that said that they don't think that this is going to be a good fit. And I'll tell you guys why. I said it in a live 2 lives ago when we did a live covering the Russell Westbrook trade when it initially happened. And some people thought I was hating on Russell Westbrook or I was being critical of him. This is one of the problems that the Lakers had last year. One of them, or the two biggest problems they had, was shooting, especially from the three-point line, and ball handlers. Those were the Lakers' those were their biggest problem areas: shooting and ball handling. Those were huge issues. The ball handling issues were the moment LeBron James went off the floor, the offense would completely collapse. And although Dennis Schroeder is a good point guard, he is not LeBron James. And the offense suffered too much once LeBron got off the floor. So what LeBron needed was another playmaker, because what the Lakers were basically hedging on was that LeBron is going to stay healthy. But the moment he got injured, the team began to go in the opposite direction. So the Lakers knew that they needed somebody else that could handle the ball to take some of the pressure off of LeBron James in case he gets injured or in case at his advanced age. Remember, LeBron is turning 37 years old this year, in case they need to rest him for some games, because he's an older player. This is not a knock. This is just the reality. It happened to all of the best players, Tim Duncan, all of them. They get old. Everybody gets old. So that was the first issue. And the second issue was shooting. The Lakers, I think, were the number 21 or 22 three-point shooting team in the NBA. They were making about 11.1 per game. It wasn't enough. They weren't making enough threes. Now, they were the number 1 ranked defense in the NBA, the number 1 or the number 2 ranked defense. It was either them or Tom Thibodeau's New York Knicks. Those are the two teams. But the issues that the Lakers were having was that they didn't have enough shooting. And I said, when they acquired Andre Drummond, I didn't understand how that was going to bolster their offense. So they went out there and got him, right? They went out there and got Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is a 30% three-point shooter for his career. A 30%. And it seems to me the only two players that understood that you cannot win with Russell Westbrook, and this is going to be a little bit, it's going to seem like a shot, but it's the truth, are Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. I think a lot of people forget. Make sure you guys hit the like button, guys. Would appreciate that. Appreciate that. Make sure y'all hit the likes. Again, for the new people that are coming in, we're talking about the ESPN article that I pinned to the top, where Kawhi Leonard had an opportunity to play with Russell Westbrook. He didn't return his phone call. Instead, he decided he wanted to play with Paul George instead, who was his teammate at the time, who was under contract. So that's what we're covering. I have that linked. We had that pinned to the top of the comment section. So if any of you guys are kind of wondering what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. The article is right there, and it was written by Ramona Shelburne. It was published a few hours ago or so on ESPN.com. For the new people coming in, that's what we're talking about. So in case there's some people are confused, that's what we're discussing. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, before Kevin Durant left the Oklahoma City Thunder, he played with that organization for 9 good years. 9 years. Okay. Kevin Durant, let me pull up his career here. Kevin Durant, I had the stats up here, but I had to restart my computer. Let me pull up Russell Westbrook as well. Kevin Durant played with the Oklahoma City Thunder for 9 years. Okay. And Russell Westbrook played with that team, with that organization, for about the same amount of time, or he played with them a little bit longer. I think he played with them for about 10 years or so. NBA.com is having some issues here. But anyway, he played with them for an extended period of time. And in all of those years, they were able to make one NBA Finals when they had Kendrick Perkins, Serge Ibaka, James Harden as the sixth man coming off the bench. You had KD and all of these guys, and they had all of this talent. But for whatever reason, They simply couldn't get over the hump. And I think Russell Westbrook played one of the greatest games of his career in that game one against the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals, where he dropped like 44 points. It was sensational. But what I think Kevin Durant understood, something that Skip Bayless, to give credit to Skip Bayless, something that Skip Bayless understood, was that you cannot win championships with Russell Westbrook as the primary ball handler or the primary decision maker on a team. This is not a knock at Russell Westbrook's personality, a knock at his character, nothing like that. But the fact of the matter is, you simply can't win with this guy as the primary decision maker with the ball. He gets a lot of assists, but they're not the correct assists. It's like, I compare it, and somebody gave me the example. It's like calories are calories, but eating chicken, broccoli, and brown rice versus eating a cheeseburger, both of those two things may carry the same amount of calories, but one of them is filled with nutrients and the other is not. It's just a bunch of empty calories. You get a lot of high assists, high rebound games, but they don't lead to wins. They don't translate into winning. And that was the issue with Russell Westbrook. And I think Kawhi Leonard saw that. He looked at that and said, wait a minute. There's no way in hell that I'm playing with this guy. It's no knock on him as a person. There's no way. And listen, I feel that some of the things that I'm going to be saying in this live may offend some Laker fans and probably Russell Westbrook fans. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not talking about his personality. We're just talking about basketball. Kawhi Leonard looked at him and said, there's no way I can play with this guy if I want to win. There's no way. I would rather play with Paul George. And Kawhi Leonard is a person that seems to be fixated on winning. And I'll tell you guys why. If we go back 2 summers ago, when Kawhi Leonard became a free agent, Kawhi tried to recruit a bunch of players, if y'all remember. He tried to recruit Kevin Durant. He tried to recruit Jimmy Butler. And then he ultimately recruited Paul George. But he started off with KD. Anybody that wants to play with Kevin Durant is in search of a championship. He tried to get with Kevin Durant first. KD said, nah, man, I'm going to go play in Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving, who's my good friend, and I'm going to be there. At that time, James Harden wasn't there. So he said, okay, no problem. Let me go try to play with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler at the time was coming from the Philadelphia 76ers. Jimmy Butler said, I'm going to go play with the Miami Heat. I feel like they're a better fit for me. Jimmy Butler ended up going to play with them. And then it was left Paul George. But all while this was happening, apparently Russell Westbrook was trying to get on the phone with Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard was like, nah, man, I'm not trying to play with you. I'm not trying to play with you. I think Kawhi Leonard looked at Paul George for all of his deficiencies. He understood that Paul George is a better fit for him because Paul George plays winning basketball. I want to give you guys some of Russell Westbrook's stats in the playoffs. And I want Laker fans especially and casual fans to kind of listen to what I'm saying here. I want to give you guys some of his stats. Okay. These playoffs, Russell Westbrook played 5 games. If you're talking about the play-in and all of this. For the Washington Wizards, he scored 19 points per game, which is fine for a point guard. Remember, he played with Bradley Beal, who led the NBA in scoring. Russell Westbrook shot 33.3% from the field. He shot 25% from the three and 80% from the free throw line, but he got you 10.4 rebounds and 8.4 assists and lost. The year before with the Houston Rockets in the playoffs, Westbrook averaged 18 points per game. He shot 42% from the field. He shot 24.2% from three. 24% from three. He shot 53% from the free throw line. That's worse than Giannis. 53%. If I'm a Laker fan and I hear that stat, I will be worried. I would be worried. There's no way in hell Kawhi Leonard, who was taking inventory of all the possible players he could possibly play with, look at those numbers and say to myself, I want to play with Russell Westbrook. I want to play with Russell Westbrook. Instead, he decided he wanted to play with Paul George, who is a great shooter, who is a very good three-point shooter. He shot 40% from the three-point line this season, who can play great defense and is a good playmaker and can be an efficient scorer when you need him to. He's not going to be as efficient as Kawhi Leonard, but he's going to be more efficient than Russell Westbrook. And he's a bigger basketball player. So it allows him to do more things. It allows him to guard more positions. It's not just about scoring and assisting. It's also about playing defense. The reason the Clippers were so successful was because if you look at their defense, especially when they went small, what I like to call their death lineup with Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris Sr., Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, maybe Patrick Beverley. They could switch on anything. Anything. You had Patrick Beverley guarding Devin Booker, who's a 6'5", about 6'5" shooting guard. You can do that with Paul George. You can't do that with Westbrook. Which makes me ask a bigger question. If Kawhi Leonard and and Kevin Durant saw that Russell Westbrook isn't the guy you want on your team as a primary decision maker to win championships, why did LeBron James choose him? Make sure you guys hit the like button, guys. Make sure you guys hit the likes. We appreciate that. Why did they choose him? I really wonder, why did LeBron James choose Russell Westbrook? My only conclusion is this. LeBron probably feels he could get more out of Russell Westbrook than Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard could. And an argument could be made for that. That could be true because LeBron James is a very smart basketball player and he's a very good team player. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. When it comes to distributing the ball, and although he is the system, LeBron usually tends to make players better in certain aspects. And in other aspects, he hurts players too. If you look at Chris Bosh, became a perimeter player. You look at Kevin Love. But in other cases, he tends to be able to play well with players. So maybe LeBron and the Lakers are looking at the situation and said, okay, we can make it work. But apparently, Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant felt differently. They felt like there was no way in hell that we were going to be able to play with this guy. There was no way in hell. There was no way in hell. Now, I know there's a group of people out there. It's fair that I say this now because we've been seeing it in some of the comments, so I want to say it now. I know there's going to be a group of people out there, not a lot. These guys are they're like a fringe kind of section or whatever, a group. They're going to say that I'm tearing down a black man. I know that's coming. It's always there. Oh, you tearing down a black man. Everything I've said in this live about Russell Westbrook has everything to do with his basketball game. I have not said a single thing about his personality or his character. Not one word. Number one. Number two, y'all have been on the channel long enough. I've defended Kawhi. I've defended Jordan. I've defended Japanese players. I've defended African players. I've defended Maria Taylor at times. I've defended a plethora of people. So if there are people out there waiting to do that, please just slide to the left. That's not what we do here. I just want to kind of throw that out there. I'm just talking basketball. That's all I want to say. Back to this, though. I personally believe that I think the Lakers made a mistake, man. Because I don't think Westbrook is the guy you need. Otherwise, that's why Kawhi Leonard didn't sign with him. He was like, I don't want to play with. I just feel that what's going to happen is this. I feel like the Lakers on most nights, are going to be able to overwhelm teams with their talent. Because you put together that type of talent, you're going to be able to beat teams. The problem is, what happens when the Lakers get into the playoffs? That's the question. What happens when they get into the playoffs? Because I'll tell you something. If you watch the playoffs this year and you look at teams like the Utah Jazz, for example, the Utah Jazz was scary, man, especially at home. If Utah, one of these teams, end up with the number one record in the West, I think it's going to be one of those teams. It's going to be very difficult to beat a Utah in Utah. The Utah Jazz were making like 16 three-pointers a game. You can have all of the talent you want, but in this NBA today, you got to be able to shoot. You got to be able to shoot. I have an agenda. This dude said I got an agenda. What's my agenda, man? Tell me my agenda so you can let me know so I can start working on it. What's my agenda? Anyway, you got to be able to shoot. The Clippers can shoot. The Brooklyn Nets can shoot. If the Lakers somehow get to the finals and they meet the Brooklyn Nets and the Brooklyn Nets are healthy, I think it's going to be a bloodbath, man. It's going to be a bloodbath. The Brooklyn Nets, two of their stars, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, basically had 50, 40, 90 seasons together on the same team. Then you have James Harden. With the Brooklyn Nets, you're not going to guard them. You're not going to guard the Brooklyn. You're not going to be like, okay, we're going to put the best defense out there. And you can't guard these guys. How do I know? When the Milwaukee Bucks, who are the NBA championships, and shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks and the Milwaukee Bucks fans. When the Milwaukee Bucks were playing against the Brooklyn Nets were missing Kyrie Irving. Just keep that in mind. They were missing Kyrie Irving, and they were playing with a hobbled James Harden, who, in my opinion, was basically a decoy. He was a decoy. They put out James Harden out there as a decoy. The whole Milwaukee Bucks defense pretty much keyed in on Kevin Durant, and he was putting up 50-point games. If you had a problem stopping Kevin Durant, y'all honestly believe that the Lakers are going to be able to beat Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden with Russell Westbrook and these guys? They're going to drown them. People are talking about defense. It's not just about defense. You have to be able to score. You can't shut down that big three. You're not going to beat them by defending them. You got to be able to make shots against that team. Look at the Clippers when they were playing against the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz. If you go back to those games in Utah, Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris Sr., Paul George, Luka, they were making shots. You got to make shots, because if you get stops and you can't score, they're going to come scoring. You're not going to stop the Brooklyn Nets on consecutive. It's not going to happen. I saw the Clippers play against the Nets the first time they matched up this season. They played a perfect game defensively for 46 minutes. And what happened in the last 2.5 minutes? The Clippers were playing perfect. And in the last 2.5 minutes, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Kyrie Irving made like 6 field goals consecutively, and it was over. It was over. They're too lethal. So I don't know what LeBron James and these guys were thinking. Maybe they're seeing something I don't see. Maybe Russell Westbrook is going to fix his jump shot, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. He played terribly in the play-in tournament this season. Westbrook shot. Think about this, guys. In the 2 games that they played in the play-in tournament, Russell Westbrook shot 38.7%. He shot 0% from the 3. 0. He shot 0% in 2 games in the play-in tournament. 0. How is that going to help the He was injured. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. If Russell Westbrook was injured, no problem. Kawhi Leonard was injured. Jamal Murray was injured. James Harden was injured. Kyrie Irving was injured. No problem. If people feel that if Russell Westbrook is at 100% health, that he's going to shoot 35% from the 3, no problem. I want to get to some other topics before free agency starts. I want to talk about this real quick. So some people have been asking me about some of the comments that Jason McIntyre made today on TV. Now, y'all know that that Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe, and these guys are off. So they got Jason McIntyre on there. And let me just say this. Jason McIntyre is a pretty smart guy to be just a second. Yeah, McIntyre. I hope I'm pronouncing his name. He seems to be a pretty smart guy. He started a blog a number of years ago. He started it in 2016. It's called The Big Lead, and they have a website. It's a sports, the sports website, let's say, sports media company to cover news and all of this. They're getting about 1 million hits a month, and I think the company was sold a while ago, and I think they sold it for 7 figures. I don't know how much the number was. But Jason McIntyre used to be a writer and all of these different things, and they sold his company. That's what he did. However, they have him come on at times when Skip Bayless and these guys go on break. So they came on today, and Jason McIntyre likes to troll people. I've understood. How do I know? He said this Russell Westbrook trade makes the Lakers overwhelming favorites. Make sure you guys hit the likes. He said it makes them overwhelming favorites. I'm like, okay, I know he said that to try to trigger some people. I know he said that. There's no way he could have looked at the data and said, okay, it makes them overwhelming favorites. He said that. And Chris Broussard said, listen, wait a minute. I'm not 100% sure on this fit. I'm not 100% sure. And they're like, no. It's going to be a perfect fit. Then they get to Kawhi. And he said that Kawhi Leonard should consider playing with the Dallas Mavericks. And he said that Kawhi Leonard would be a good number 2 option to Luka Doncic with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, y'all know that he's trying to troll you guys by doing that. Y'all know he doesn't believe that. He's doing that to troll people. Anybody that would think that Kawhi Leonard joining the Dallas Mavericks and then he would become the second option. When he led the playoffs in PER, he had the highest field goal percentage of any player that took at least 19 shots per game. He was shooting like close to 40% from the 3. He was unstoppable, and he's going to go, and he was playing great defense. He's again like 2 steals and go to the Mavs, and he's going to become the number 2 option, the 2-time Finals MVP. He's going to become the number 2 option behind Luka Doncic. He was doing that to troll people. He's not serious. I don't think he believes anything that he's saying. When he's talking about Kawhi Leonard and he's talking about, I don't think he believes it. I just think he's trying to troll people. I just think he's trying to troll people, and I don't take him seriously because some people were asking me, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that? And I just wanted to cover that. But anyway, back to this Russell Westbrook thing. I got a question I want to ask you guys. Given the fact that Kevin Durant turned down Russell Westbrook, since he stopped playing with him, he won 2 NBA championships. Then you have Kawhi Leonard, who had an opportunity to play with Russell Westbrook. He decided he would rather play with another unproven star in the playoffs in Paul George. The question is, how should we look at Russell Westbrook when you have 2 all-time greats saying, I can't win with you? How do we look at him? How do we look at him then? You got KD that said, I can't win with you. He left. You had Kawhi Leonard that said, I don't even want to play with you. I'm not even going to return your calls. How do we look at him? How do we look at him? Now, somebody just said third time is a charm, probably. But let me just say this. If the Brooklyn Nets are fully healthy, you know what? I don't see it's going to be tough to beat them. And a lot of people are speculating that even if Kawhi Leonard decides to re-sign with the Clippers, that he may not come back for the season. If he doesn't come back, then to be quite honest with you, I would probably pick the field in the West. Because I think that the Clippers are the only team. Let's just be honest. I think the Clippers are the only team in the Western Conference, or in the NBA, however you want to call it, on the Western Conference, at least now, until maybe some moves can be made, that can beat them. I heard DeMar DeRozan will probably go play. No, I heard Kyle Lowry will most likely go sign with the Miami Heat. I don't know how true that is. DeMar DeRozan, I don't see how that works. DeMar DeRozan could actually end up playing with the Clippers. It's also a possibility. It's also a possibility because DeMar DeRozan expressed some interest in going to play in LA. He could possibly play with the Clippers. I just heard another story that Carmelo Anthony may possibly play with the Lakers. If he leaves Portland, there's a high likelihood that he goes and plays with LeBron James, something I have no problem with. Because Carmelo is going to go play with LeBron at a later stage in his career. He's not like as if this is prime Carmelo Anthony going to go play with LeBron James. I have no problem with that. That's not a super team. It's just Carmelo Anthony probably just wants to play with his close friend and try to win a championship. Somebody said DeMar DeRozan is not a good fit with the Clippers. I don't think he is. He's a very good player, but I don't know how he fits in with the system because the Clippers play a spread offense. It's predicated on ball movement and player movement, and they're always searching for threes. They don't take a ton, but they're very effective at knocking down threes. If they lose Nicholas Batum, would DeMar DeRozan be a good replacement? Yes. The question is, would DeMar DeRozan be willing to come off the bench at different points in this season if he signs with the Clippers? This is a legitimate question. Would he be willing to come off the bench at times? And Tyronn Lue has no problem benching certain players if he feels as if they're not helping him win. I've seen him do it to Marcus Morris Sr. I've seen him do it to Vincent Zubac. The only people he hasn't done, hey, Chris, how you doing? The only person I haven't seen him do it to was Kawhi and Paul George. So these are some questions that he has to ask. I think if DeMar DeRozan goes to the Clippers, I think DeMar DeRozan is basically signifying that, listen, I want to win a championship. And I think he will help. I think they'll probably get back Reggie Jackson. We have free agency about to start in 10 minutes. Clippers better bring back Reggie Jackson because that brother is he's a good. Oh, that's who Jason McIntyre was laughing at. He said Reggie Jackson. Come on, Reggie Jackson. Who's Reggie Jackson? I was like, okay, this dude is just trying to troll people. Westbrook is erratic, plays very well, costs the Lakers dearly coming to play. I think he will. I think he will, or they need to get some more shooters. I heard the Clippers and Mavs for DeMar. You know what? Let me just say this. Now that we're saying that free agency is about to start, I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be shocked if the Clippers end up getting DeMar DeRozan. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get DeMar DeRozan. Now, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I wouldn't be surprised because they're very good. This Lawrence Frank and these guys know what the heck they're doing. So I wouldn't be surprised at that. Imagine if Russell Westbrook gets traded at the deadline. That would be hilarious. Russell Westbrook would pull off a J.R. Smith. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised at that. So anyway, this is the story that I wanted to cover. Depending on what happens with free agency, if any big news comes out, we will most likely cover it. But for now, we're just going to stand packed and kind of wait to see what happens. I think the only big news is that Kyle Lowry most likely will sign with the Miami Heat. That's all I think I've heard for now. But if anything else happens, stick around on the channel because we're going to go live. Also, if you guys want to follow us and ask us questions, I'm going to put our Instagram link here. You guys can follow us on Instagram. Let me post it right here. I'm going to post our Instagram link right there, and I'm going to pin it to the top. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. If you guys want to ask questions, we're also going to be posting there as well. We're going to be having updates as well there. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. I just posted it right there. If you guys want any more updates and things like that, that's going to be there. We're going to be there. So we may come back on if anything big happens. I want the Clippers to get Lonzo. I'm not really sure that's what they need. Clippers need more shooting. We got to see. Okay, but do you think Kawhi will rather have PG, AD, or Russ? For sure, it would either be PG over one of those two guys, for sure. I mean, PG or AD over Russ. It's a good question. It's a tough one. I think it's a toss-up between the two of them. I think it's a toss-up. Charles, you're too young to be bald. No, I'm not bald, man. I'm not bald. Some people have been saying I'm bald. I'm not bald at all, man. Basically, what happened was my clippers, I cut my own hair. And my clippers, the blade got really weak or whatever it was. So I ended up having to go with the lowest length. And I basically cut off all my damn hair. I'm not bald. Y'all gonna see like in probably a week or so, all of my hair is gonna come back. So don't worry about that. I'm not bald. I saw some people cracking some jokes about that. It's just no, I'm not bald. I'm not bald. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for being a part of this live. Again, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Yeah, I cut my own hair. Nick was good. Yeah, I cut my own hair, but I'm about to move soon, so I'm gonna get a barber again, so I don't have to cut my hair again. Okay, guys. So anyway, we may come back on again if some big news happens with free agency. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for being a part of this live. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. We've linked that to the top of the comment section. Appreciate that, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy and catch you guys later. Peace. You do sound bald. I'm not bald, man. I'm not bald. As I said, no shame. I'm not bald. Don't worry about it. Somebody said no shame. All right, man. Catch y'all later. Peace.